My family refused to let me move out, but I won't back down.
Just open that door and go on out there.
For a start, I, 21 female, come from a traditional Asian family. My parents, 65 plus, male and female, they're both 65 plus, have been here since the 70s, and I have been in this country since I was 11. By the way, this comes from Please Let Me Go Out, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, one of the main reasons I would like to move out is because we live in an overcrowded house. This 2-bedroom house contains my parents, my brother, his wife, their 2 children who are 3 and 9, and me. We converted our living room and the attic into bedrooms. We only have 1 toilet and 1 bathroom.
Move out.
Oh my God.
You know what's funny? This sounds like my Filipino side of the family.
I saw the title of this story and I was like, oh, what if
they live out
Turkey?
here, and that sounds like their household. Like there's only 2 bathrooms, and like everything's cramped, but that's how they live.
My room space has been halved. Store the children's old toys and things like bed linen. It's very loud in this house. The children alone give me a headache, shouting at 6 a.m. in the morning when their mother leaves. She's a nurse. She starts early. I can't remember a time where I haven't woken up by screaming in the morning. Not to mention, the screaming is a habit they picked up from their father, who angers easily and is very quick to raise his voice. Yelling is the main form of communication in this house, and this has been noticed by other people that stop by in our house. I've had friends ask why my father is yelling at me, in which I say that's just the way he talks to me. On the topic of children, they expect them to be babysat without warning. I've had to cancel so many plans because their parents tell me as they leave the house that I have to watch the children for them. Everyone in this house works, including me. I've had times where they brought the children to where I work so that I can watch them there. This is also without any notice to me. I've been called selfish many times because I asked if I could not be disturbed by the children while I study. I have no privacy. The children come inside my room and regularly take things and do not return it. Not to mention, nobody ever knocks. When I finally installed a lock, my mother shouted at me for being crazy trying to lock everyone out. The amount of times people have walked in while I was getting changed is countless. My parents also open almost all of my mail. One time I received my new debit card in the mail, which I had been waiting for weeks. Turns out my father opened the letter and did not give it to me until 2 weeks later. Similarly, with a form I needed to sign urgently, my parents opened it and forgot to give it to me until a week later. Now I have the opportunity to move out. My university is offering cheap private rentals for students, even cheaper if I share a flat with other students. I've made an application for student housing, and based on the initial figures I've been given, I can afford this entirely on my student finance. Coupled with my part-time job, I can live comfortably by myself. My parents are not happy with this at all. First of all, they restricted my choices of university to the same city I live in. They keep reminding me how I am an adult now, yet do not give me any freedom. I recently discovered I was eligible for a grant of $3,000, and when I received this money, my parents are trying to take it away from me. As I type this, they want me to open a bank account in my mother's name so they can keep my student grant there instead. This is supposed to help me for my university expenses. This year, the total cost of my textbooks came around to £350. I also travel by train and bus. I pay for my own phone, and I even pay for the broadband, TV, and landline here at the home. I do my own laundry, I clean my own room, and cook basic food to survive. I can't take living at home anymore. It is too crowded, loud, and stressful. My significant other is strongly against letting my parents take all my student grant, but I fear eventually I won't have a choice. I've sent my application in regardless. I'm also in the process of looking for a better paying job. I've been working part-time since I was 16. I've never relied on my family to get me around anywhere. It's more of a convenience for them than for me. When I brought it up to my father, he simply said, no, he will not allow it, and that I should not create problems when there isn't one. He refuses to listen to my responses and says that's just how families are. He believes we as a family cannot afford it, but I've not asked him for any financial help towards moving out, and we have an update. Well, I can't tell if it's a happy update or not, but good news first, I've secured a flat. My best friend of 10 years needed a tenant urgently, and it was well within the means of my student finance. He spoke with the landlord and explained my situation situation to him. Usually, tenants require a guarantor, but he put in a good word for me, so therefore I can just move in whenever I can. I really need to buy him a whole barrel of his favorite adult beverage for all of this. I made my statements online only, so they can no longer monitor everything. I've made the appointment to open a new bank account, which is next week. I spoke to my uni, and we have discussed the possibility of a hardship fund for my situation.
Great.
For the summer, I've sent out 2 job applications so far and on the process of applying for 3rd once I finish the cover letter. For my current job, I've told my boss that I'm looking for a job currently, but I'm available this entire summer for work. I'm putting myself on an absolutely no buy this summer if I can avoid it. My summer expenses, I bought a plane ticket for a week on holiday with my significant other's parents, are already paid for, so I don't need to worry about any more big deductions on the current money I have. Now, as for telling my parents, mostly my dad, I explained that my friend needs another tenant in their flat and I'm really interested in saying yes. Before this, though, I have already brought up the topic before, see previous thread, and typically they yell in my face, no, 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 no. Another time, I told them that I had already said yes to my friend. I explained the cost of everything already, how I'm going to finance it, etc. Today, however, is when crap really got down. My friend had asked my dad if he could help him move some stuff to the flat. My father owns a van and sometimes does removal work with it, and my dad obliged. I come to, as this was my opportunity to check out the house. Everything works out, and at the end, I spoke to my dad about moving in. We had a proper conversation for once. He explained that his biggest fear is that one day I'll come home and say, I don't want to study anymore, which I do not believe is something I will do as I'm very committed to my studies and I really want to advance in this field. So I reassure him about that. And then his other concern was that I will graduate with debt. It was calm and points were made. The last thing he told me was, I will be wherever you are happiest. Until this evening, my parents got home and my father immediately yelled at me to go downstairs. Earlier in the afternoon, I discussed moving with my brother and sister-in-law. I guess they told my parents because my dad was furious that I was going around and saying I'm leaving when he says I won't be. This escalated into more shouting because for once in my life, I stood up for myself and shouted back. I told them, how can they expect me to discuss anything when I am met with hostility at the mere mention of things? My mother says that's just the way my dad is. I told them, F that. It doesn't make it okay for him to yell at me all the time. My brother eventually joins the shouting. He calls me effing selfish and self-centered. His reasons are my parents are 66 and 68. They're old. They need me around to help. He had to travel 2 hours to go to uni. We are poor and this is just how my family works. We all work so hard for you, blah, blah, blah. I do appreciate all the hard work they put in, the fact that they moved to the UK to support as a family. I just don't understand what all of this has to do with moving out. I'm not asking for a single penny, not even a hand in moving. They start bringing up petty things that I do wrong, which are still all unrelated with me moving out and all in an attempt to make me feel bad. Things like how I sleep really late, which in turn makes me sickly. Therefore, I cannot be trusted to live alone.
That makes zero sense. If you live all alone, you can't take care of yourself.
My brother said, if I leave, this family will be torn apart and strained. I really wish I was kidding. He actually did say this. His wife, my sister-in-law, also found this ridiculous. By the way, we'll never find you ridiculous if you go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. We have another update, but where were you feeling?
Fly free, OP. I love how they're like yelling at you. Like, yes, this makes you want to stay with us even more.
Right?
You're going to be a burden if you leave. And you're like, I'm opening the door now.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep walking.
They're just guilt tripping you to make you feel this thing's hanging over your head. And if you leave, the family's broken, which it's not going to be. I get the fact that you're like, hey, guess what? I'm giving you guys more space to have freedom and, not like be at each other's throats because it's another extra room.
Eventually, things calmed down. My sister-in-law acted mostly as a mediator between me and my brother and dad. In the end, my bro and sis-in-law were the only ones to speak to me after my father outright said to me, I don't want to hear from you again. Stay away from me. While they were hard-pressed trying to convince me how my parents love me so much and all these restrictions are for my own good, it was difficult to fight the urge to roll my eyes and walk away. I know they mean well and I know they care for me, but my mind is made up. Not because I disregarded everything they've done and try to do, but because I really need this to be truly happy. The worst part is I have my final exam in 4 days. I'm effing bawling my eyes out because this whole affair lasted 2 hours of pure shouting, screaming, crying, swearing. You name it. All this stress is so difficult, and I genuinely feel like I'm going to flunk my exams now, which won't make my situation any better. They even messaged my older brother who lives in America about it, but he's supportive. It's been 2 hours and I'm so stressed and upset. I can't think about moving until my exams are over, and even that now I'm so terrified. I'm sorry if I sound petty/spoiled. I can't think straight anymore. I'm still moving out. I think I'll start packing some bags as soon as my exams are done. And that's the end of that.
That's crazy that OP thinks they sound petty/spoiled because
what they need to do
they
for
actually
them.
like, that's what freedom looks like.
Yeah.
That's what not, having the burden of like your entire family riding your back and like making you feel like you're loved. That's crazy.
It's interesting that your brother that moved to a completely different country is on your side. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's wild.
The one that actually moved out is like, no, this is great. You should do this.
Yeah. I just invited my sister from my wedding because she blew up at my fiance?
Yeah, I wouldn't let her in either.
I, 25 female, am getting married next fall to my fiance, 25 male. My parents have been divorced my whole life and are both now remarried. My bio dad would see me every other weekend and was not a safe adult growing up. By the way, this comes from user Casadilius. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I also have an older sister, 31 female, on my bio dad's side. We have the same dad, but different moms. Growing up, a lot of my trauma stemmed from watching my bio dad's treatment of my older sister. We'll call her Michelle. When I was 12 and Michelle was 18, she went off to the military and we didn't have much of a relationship while she was gone. I was really bitter and upset about her leaving me with our dad for a long time. But just through growing up and experiencing life myself, I realized it wasn't her job to save me and that she had to live her life. I also understand that she was in some pretty bad relationships while gone. At the end of 2023, Michelle moved back to our home city and we began to build a relationship as adults. By this time, my now fiance, boyfriend, and I had been together at this point for 3 years. We're living together and she's always seen me with him as an adult. When I told her we were discussing getting engaged, she was so happy for me. Looked at rings with me. It was great. She's blessed to not have to work, and I work from home and work at a work call center, so sometimes I have a lot of passed away time at work, so we talk on the phone for hours when I'd be alone. The day my fiance proposed, she was like the first person I told, and we had already had plans to hang out that evening. When I saw her that night, I asked her immediately to be my maid of honor, and she accepted, and we had a beautiful sister moment. We were out at the bars, my fiance was there, as well as another couple we're friends with, and another girl we're friends with. Everyone except Michelle is about 23, 24, and we all knew each other and were friends. By about 2 a.m., all the bars in the area that we were at were closing, and we were debating if we should go find somewhere else to hang out or just go home. Both of the boyfriends had gotten dress coded a bunch, so we wouldn't get into anywhere good. And the nearest place open was kind of far, and it was north. Everyone was heading south for the night. We ultimately decided to call it a night and see each other the next day. It's a Friday, and we planned to be in the city all weekend until Sunday. I had already told Michelle before we met up to hang out that I wouldn't be giving her a ride home. If she didn't want to pay the Uber prices, that's fine, but I still wouldn't be able to go that far out of my way. She lives super far north and doesn't have a car. I'm usually really accommodating, but we just got engaged, and I knew I wanted to get a little wasted and didn't want to stick anyone else with that drive. We agreed to call it a night, and my friend's boyfriend offered to drive my car to their hotel so I could relax. I wasn't wasted, but did have a headache. And then me and my fiance could head home whenever. When I got in the back seat, my older sister stayed in the front seat. We thought her other sister was coming to get her. But I guess she switched the directions on my phone to go to her house before the hotel without saying anything.
Oh, what?
Our guy friend noticed and asked about it, and my sister became immediately defensive and aggressive. After snapping at him a few times, him and his girlfriend got out of my car and opted to pay for an Uber. I was so embarrassed. I ended up driving my sister home, even though I didn't want to. And she was yelling the entire drive.
About what?
About how those people were so rude and they couldn't drive her home. A 16-minute drive, and she just yelled and yelled and called my friends witches and all other types of stuff. I was getting ready to lose it when my fiance interjected from the backseat and asked my sister to try and calm down and that the conversation could wait until we were parked, as he knows how yelling makes me feel.
Yeah, also, why are you still yelling? It was the other friends first that were like...
She might have been a little tipsy.
Okay, and
but there's still no
doesn't
excuse.
Give you an excuse to be terrible.
But here's the thing. OP said the one thing to a woman that you
Calm
don't
down.
say.
Yeah, but she was yelling before that.
Yeah, but when she's upset, do you think telling her to calm down is going to calm her down?
No, I still don't think she should yell.
She shouldn't be. No, that's very right. And I think you should have been like, OP, do you want to park?
I feel like OP's just so focused on like, I want to get home. I want to get this sister
She had a
out
headache.
of the car,
Yeah, she wants to. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, yeah,
you don't want yelling in the
100%.
back.
I mean, you would have thought he was a stranger the way she tore into him. She did so much damage in 16 minutes. Again, 16 minutes is not that far of a drive. She texted to apologize, but when my fiance didn't respond immediately, she doubled down on all the horrible things she said to him.
Oh my God. Also, I hate text apologies like that. Call me, meet me in person. Like, why are we doing this? Like, I just yelled at you for 16 minutes and now I'm just going to send you a text being like,
everything's
sorry.
okay. I yelled sorry through the text. I tried to be cordial for a few months, but by March, we had a falling out as well, and she said some pretty awful stuff about me, and then she blocked me. Here's where I'm feeling like the a-hole. For my birthday, early June, my dad took me and my fiance to dinner and insisted my older sister be there. Okay, I didn't make a fuss. Well, when I mentioned to my dad a week after my B-day that we had solidified everything and would be sending out invites, he started to bring it up. Then a couple weeks ago, he calls me at 6 a.m. wanting to pray and trying to guilt me. That's how I took it, into inviting her. I thought about compromising, and my partner is being so understanding with this whole thing. But honestly, the thought of inviting her after the last interaction is making me physically ill. I ended up telling my dad that Michelle is a 30-year-old woman who talked her way into this, and she can call me if she wants to discuss her attendance at our wedding. A part of me feels like I should reach out to her and try to be the bigger person because I think I actually am more mature and less emotional than her right now. But every time I convince myself to try to talk to her, I open that text thread and see her last words to me and feel like I'm betraying myself for even considering it. But she's still my older sister, and while some people in my life are very supportive and that she doesn't deserve to be there, and this is just a natural consequence of her actions, there are also a lot of people who are very vocal about me needing to forgive her and how this will just make things worse. I really can't decide what's worse, having her miss out or having her there. So am I the a-hole for not inviting my oldest sister to my wedding? We have an update.
No, it's your wedding, and you get to say who comes, and she was terrible to you.
And your boy, fiance. Yeah, your fiance, and your friends. Well, she was talking crap to your friends, but
she was being all sneaky.
So she could see all those people and be like, so that 16-minute drive that you didn't do for me back then, you guys all suck, and you guys be like, blah, 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 blah.
Like, the odds of her bringing this up at your wedding the first time that you've seen her or talked to her since that is very high.
You think talking to her after you disinvited her to your wedding and she's no longer the maid of honor for your wedding? She got upset about a 16-minute drive home.
I forgot she was the maid of honor.
Yeah, she got upset about a 16-minute drive home, not a 2-hour drive.
About everything, and she would be the one like planning a lot of the stuff with you.
Can you imagine her like?
No.
Oh man, she's gonna be yelling and shouting for the rest of the wedding. I ended up calling my sister today. She was actually very pleasant and understanding.
Understanding about what?
I told her that at this time we're not inviting her to the wedding, but I do want to continue to work on our relationship. And if things change, I would love to change my mind. She said she understands and she loves me and wants me to be happy above all. She said that she'll be happy for me no matter what, and that she's not upset at all or taking it personal at all, not being able to be there, and it's our day. We had a great conversation, and I'm glad that she was able to be positive. Comment number 1, general rule. If your wedding is turning into a crap storm, elope. It's about the marriage, not the wedding. OP states, it's really one side of my family. My stepdad's family is the family I spent the most time with, and they've been lovely. I don't want to damage my relationship with my bio dad's family, but I kind of don't want to invite any of them. It feels so forced to me. Comment number 2, not the a-hole. Look, I know it's your big sister and you want to mend things, but will things truly be mended if you reach out first? You will get some half-baked, nothing apology, and then the entire thing will be dropped. You and your fiance were in no ways wrong that night, unless a lot of stuff was left out of the story. I would just tell your dad, I am waiting for her to apologize. She's not attending the wedding until she can see that she was wrong and actually owns that. Until then, it's her own choice to go no contact with me. And it is her own choice to not be any part of my wedding. If you want to interfere, try asking her what's up and see why she acted like that. But do not come to me and tell me to forget it happened. Which, hey, I was going to do before she doubled in the text messages she sent me. The only way for someone to learn that is for them to stop being coddled. So I will wait. Comment number 3. I feel like a good rule of thumb is the thought of something makes you physically ill. Don't do it. That would apply on any day of the week, and it damn sure applies on your wedding day. And that's the end of the story.
My family banned my dogs from the party, so I'm refusing to attend.
Why are you banning the dogs?
My family and I have always liked Thanksgiving. It's been the one holiday we always spend together as a family. My mom places major emphasis on it being an open house type of event, and since I can remember, we have gone grocery shopping together and cooked a meal together. She even let me host it 4 years ago at my house. By the way, this comes from Dictate This, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I have 2 dogs that my parents love, a beagle and a basset hound. Every time I come home, I put them outside and we all hang out on the back patio. We serve Thanksgiving dinner inside and the dogs get to run around outside. We have been planning Thanksgiving for weeks now. 2 weeks ago, my mom tells me my grandma from out of state is coming. I had my wedding in October and she couldn't come for that, so I'm really excited to include her in our family's Thanksgiving. My sister just had a baby and told me last week when I was visiting that she was not coming to Thanksgiving because she didn't want her newborn around people who had been on planes. She is the mother, it's her choice. All week long, I have been texting my mom telling her how excited I am to drive 2 hours home and how my new husband and I will be coming with the dogs to stay on Tuesday night through Saturday. We want to spend time with my parents and my grandmother as things have been quite busy with the wedding, new baby, etc. We are off work starting Tuesday and have planned to be there the whole week to see everyone. We were even going to drive over an hour's way to see my sister on Friday and bring her leftovers. My text went mostly unreplied. Busy, I assume. Today I sent a follow-up text after this morning's text saying, again, we are so excited. Can't wait for family time. She responds with, we need to discuss what to do with dogs. With a new baby and an older person for company, they aren't going to be welcome. Apparently, my sister went to a doctor and they've alleviated her concerns about having company from across the country around. I called her and said, hey, so I hear you're coming to Thanksgiving. That's awesome. So what about your son? She replies, we will be bringing him, but the dogs cannot be there. I've been confirming plans for weeks now, and now 6 days out, both she and my mother want me to board the pups. I called the 3 places we use for boarding, and they're all booked. Duh, it's 6 days out from Thanksgiving. I called my mother and expressed that if we have to miss Thanksgiving because of our obligations to the pets, we will, and so be it. She replied that she wants all the family there for Thanksgiving, so just don't shut down on her. I'm feeling really frustrated in this scenario, as I've tried to mitigate options and plans up to this point and have been met with either sounds good or silence. I'm also frustrated that this is somehow on me overreacting when in the text response I did receive from her, it clearly implied the dogs were not welcome and the only alternative to us coming would be to board the dogs or make the drive only for the day, thus missing out on the family time I've been so looking forward to. There was not even the consideration that the dogs remain outside the entire time we are there, nor the knowledge that neither dog is aggressive and both are very well trained. It was just they aren't coming, and now I'm the one who's being blamed for being frustrated. Reddit, am I out of line here? Should I be more understanding and just let this one slide? Or do I have a right to be upset? I feel like if I am told you're being ridiculous, cut some slack, I will. And if my feelings are validated, I can let this one slide and then prepare better in the future. We have an update. This is a doozy. A Redditor called this in the original post, and the irrational fear of dogs was totally brought on by my sister. Instead of communicating with my husband and me about her concerns, she placed my mother as the middleman and basically gave an ultimatum. If the dogs come for Thanksgiving, she will stay home. This was not made clear to me until I was already at my parents' house with the dogs on Tuesday. After my post on Friday, I contacted my sister and said, hey sis, I'm really sorry if the phone call earlier didn't go so well. I'm really glad you're going to come and that I get to see my nephew. I hope that we can better communicate in the future about having to make changes in plans. I don't want either of us to put either one in a difficult position where we can't communicate well. I love you. She said, oh yeah, no worries. The Thanksgiving planning communication got lost in the shuffle. I deferred to mom and dad since they are calling the shots and hosting this year. I was still under the impression that the issue with the dogs attending Thanksgiving at my parents' stemmed from my mother. I spoke with my mother on Sunday and she said, please bring the dogs. They will remain outside and it really isn't a big deal. I want all the family there, and that includes bringing them since you can't find a place to board them. I went over Tuesday to discover that this issue stemmed from my sister's new mother crazy fears. My mom assured me that it would be fine when my sister arrived with her baby. She would see the dogs, would remain outside and away from the baby at all times. Also, my parents own another house, so if she was still freaked out at seeing this controlled situation, we could move the dogs to the other house and my husband and I would just go check on them periodically until my sister left on Thanksgiving Day. My sister was only planning on being here for 6 hours, as opposed to me, who was going to stay Tuesday through Sunday, help with Thanksgiving prep, and then make sausage with my dad on Saturday. The prep goes wonderfully, and Thanksgiving Day, we are cooking up a storm. The dogs are tied up outside with my husband and dad, and they are warming up the oil to deep fry a turkey. My sister and her husband drive up, and my dad sees my sister's mouth. The dogs are here. Her husband drives right past the house, turns around, doesn't acknowledge his father-in-law or my husband, and drives the car away. I think that's totally valid. I'm gonna be so for real. I think that's totally valid. No one told her that the dogs were gonna be there. She expressed her concerns. No one said, hey, this is happening, but we have a solution. She pulled up. New mom brain sees the only thing that she put a boundary up for and says, we're going back. And I think that's fine. My sister then calls my mother sobbing, asking how she could do this to her. My mother assures her that the dogs will be away at all times. The baby is less than 4 weeks old. It's not like he will open the sliding glass door and let the dogs in. Also, we can move them to the other house if need be. My sister refuses to budge and says they are going home. My husband texts her husband and says, hey man, I know this issue involves us. We feel painted in a corner. There must be a solution we can come to. We really love you guys and can adjust in any way. Please call me so we can come to a compromise that fits you. Her husband responds, the decision has already been made. Have a nice Thanksgiving. Overnight, my sister continues to text my mother, father, and myself in a group text asking how they could do this to her. We drove down to the marina and waited for you to reach out with a solution, but you didn't. You made me fight it out with my sister, and you know I won't win that fight. And other series of dramatic texts. These were sent around 4 a.m. I woke up at 5 to send my husband off to work and respond to these texts. I tell her to knock it off and stop blaming our mother and instead text me privately since this issue concerns me and I gladly would have compromised, but not once did she ever speak to me about the dogs being an issue.
So that sounds really petty on your part.
No, that's what I'm saying. OP is being so petty.
Because what are we in middle school? This sounds so middle school-esque.
So she shows up, she's mad, she drives away, no one contacts her.
Yeah.
I'm assuming maybe husbands didn't also tell wives that they reached out.
Well, it was
and had
probably
that
the husbands thought that everyone communicated because it's all within from the mom.
So
this is what happens when you have someone immediate. Oh my gosh.
Is now like they didn't even reach out to see what was up. Like they drove away. They waited nearby
everyone
to see if anyone would contact them.
Everyone,
they didn't until 4
your family's communication is so unhinged right now. It's so like
everyone sucks, but I have mad sympathy for
sister with the new mom. Yeah, because she literally came and was shell shocked.
Yeah, me. How would we be able to communicate when you two completely shut down? Even husband's name reached out to your husband to try to find a solution. Take this up with me, not our parents. Why it wasn't even addressed with us is beyond me, considering it involved husband and me. She then got very aggressive. She sent in a private text that I let the parents decide what is appropriate. That's what normal people do. Except for you, since you seem to think you run the parents and this whole show. I responded, I will speak to you at another time in which I can appropriately respond. She then proceeded to take what I said and copy it into a group text message with this. I will speak to you at another time in which I can appropriately respond. Thanks. I'm quivering in my boots and can't wait to get yelled at by my little sister. So incredibly appropriate. Let's just continue to rub salt in this wound and not handle this with whatever little grace we have left. Look, we don't see eye to eye on this issue and never will, sis. I realized this was spiraling into an argument that is not pertinent to the situation and definitely headed into territory that could get really ugly. And what good would that do? I have a new nephew and I have had a healthy relationship with my sister for the past few years. And now it has become an attack on me personally because of a miscommunication over dogs. I can't read her mind and she never once explained to me her concern over my dog. She implied it was my mother's own concerns, and it wasn't until I was at my parents' house already with the dogs did I learn this fear stemmed from her. But that wasn't where the argument was going. It was going personal. Not what is needed at 5:30 a.m. Me. Okay, again, let's keep this off the group text. I don't want to react out of frustration because you and I have had a really great relationship for a while now. This whole situation didn't work out well, obviously. I don't want the rest of it to not go well either. I love you and I don't want to be a keyboard warrior and just text with anger, which is why I said that just now. I said, I will speak later because for some reason This became a fight, and that isn't what it was about, nor what I want. We are beyond the competitive stage in life, so I don't want that fight. That's one I am unwilling to have. It's not reality. I love you. I wish you would have spoken to me, especially after I reached out again. I'm sad your Thanksgiving was spent alone. I haven't heard anything back. I wanted to diffuse the situation and not get into a personal attacking fight. I want the relationship with my sister to be positive, but I'm afraid that in order to do so, I will have to eat crow on this one, even though I don't feel like I'm really in the wrong here. She did not let me know. How would I know? And if I do let this one lie, am I setting a precedent for when communication falters again in the future that I will come with my tails between my legs and apologize? Always? By the way, you can always count on having stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. Furthermore, I didn't know she felt this aggression towards me and my relationship with my parents. Sure, we are close, but they have gotten closer too. I have believed that this sibling rivalry and competition has been outgrown. She is 32 and a new mother. But if she really feels this way about me because of this one instance, this one issue, because she failed to communicate with me, then are all the positive things I've done for her, baby shower, arriving once a week with food for her after the baby, grocery store shopping for her, are all these kind gestures negated now? Reddit, I don't know where to go from here. If I press on and fake an apology to appease my sister, I don't know if I can have a genuine relationship with her, because if I unknowingly do something wrong, she will attack my character, and that hurts, you know? So any advice would be helpful. How would you respond? And what are reasonable expectations that I should have about my sister and my relationship moving forward? Wipe my hands clean of her, walk a fine line, or forgive and forget?
What I also got from OP is that she really wasn't taking any real account of, like, she didn't also communicate.
OP?
Yeah. She's just pointing the finger at the sister saying, you didn't communicate. She kind of did. You also kind of did. But you also kind of didn't. Both of you. Again, that's why it's both of you are to blame. Again, your mom too, in this mess of no one really communicating here. I think this should be, you're like, hey, you didn't communicate. I didn't communicate. I apologize. I'm sorry for, not telling you. I want you to be there. I love you. This is Thanksgiving. This should have been a happy time to see my nephew, your son, and like make this a really fun time for the family, not a thing that's like, now we're butting heads, it's competitive, and now we can't talk anymore, and now I'm gonna be petty and you're gonna be petty, and who's gonna be the pettier one?